Have you ever wondered why some people navigate life with unshakable calm and yet seem to attract wealth effortlessly, while others flounder, restless, anxious, and always chasing after what slips further away? The answer is not luck, nor genius, nor timing. It is the invisible architecture of the mind, the fusion of thought, discipline, and action that transforms desire into achievement. To think like a Stoic is to master your impressions, to remain sovereign over emotion and impulse. To earn like a millionaire is to harness that mastery, combining clarity, persistence, and faith to magnetize opportunity, create value, and convert vision into tangible results. When these forces converge, wealth is no longer a distant dream, it becomes the natural byproduct of mental mastery. Most people fail because they hand their mind over to circumstance. A market fluctuation, a sudden expense, a harsh word, or a moment of doubt can derail their day, their plans, and ultimately their potential. Hill warned that fear and indecision dominate the subconscious when fed by repeated thought. The Stoics warned that surrendering your mind to external events is surrendering your life itself. Those who fail allow emotion to dictate decisions, while those who succeed cultivate an internal sovereignty that remains unshaken, regardless of chaos around them. Wealth begins in the mind, and mastery of it is non-negotiable. To think like a Stoic is to observe life with clarity, to separate events from judgment, and to act with reason rather than impulse. The Stoics trained themselves to see obstacles not as threats, but as signals, as opportunities for growth, and as tests of character. Napoleon Hill taught that desire, when fused with faith and repeated visualization, programs the subconscious to act automatically toward achievement. When combined, these philosophies create a mind that is both unshakable and magnetically focused, capable of perceiving opportunity where others see chaos, and capable of acting decisively when others hesitate. The difference between most people and millionaires is often invisible, psychological, and subtle. Most chase wealth externally, believing it lies in circumstances, connections, or chance. Millionaires cultivate it internally, starting with the mind. They begin each day by reflecting, visualizing, and conditioning their subconscious to act in alignment with their goals. They anticipate obstacles, rehearse calm in adversity, and impress upon themselves a clarity of purpose that governs every decision. Hill called this autosuggestion. The Stoics called it mastery of impressions. Together, they form the secret law. Internal mastery precedes external abundance. Fear, doubt, and distraction are the primary enemies of wealth. Most people surrender to them without realizing it. They react, panic, and compromise long-term advantage for short-term comfort. Hill taught that faith-backed desire neutralizes fear, guiding the subconscious toward persistent action. The Stoics taught that attachment to externals produces anxiety, while detachment cultivates freedom and resilience. Those who combine these lessons face challenges with composure, convert setbacks into advantage, and persist with unwavering focus. Wealth, in this context, is not chance, it is inevitable. The millionaire mind, disciplined like a Stoic, operates on three invisible principles: clarity, persistence, and emotional sovereignty. Clarity defines the goal, focuses energy, and prevents distraction. Persistence turns repeated thought into action, imprinting purpose upon the subconscious until it guides every choice automatically. Emotional sovereignty ensures that external events, fear, and setbacks do not derail momentum. This fusion produces a life in which opportunity is recognized, risk is calculated, and results compound silently, invisibly, but unmistakably. The lesson is simple, yet profound. To earn like a millionaire, you must first think like a Stoic. Control your mind, master your impressions, and align your thoughts with unwavering purpose. Reinforce your vision daily, rehearse your responses to adversity, and persist in disciplined action. Most will never understand this, which is why the majority fail. Those who embrace it, however, create unstoppable momentum. The question is not whether you can achieve wealth, it is whether you are willing to master your mind, internalize this discipline, and act with relentless consistency, transforming thought into action and vision into reality. Most people believe wealth is external, something to be chased, bargained for, or stumbled upon. They focus on the market, on connections, on circumstance, believing that opportunity alone will determine their outcomes. Yet Napoleon Hill and the Stoics would both tell you the truth is far subtler, far more powerful. Wealth begins within. Hill taught that the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between imagined success and imagined failure. It acts upon the dominant impressions impressed upon it. The Stoics taught that external events are neutral, and only our judgment of them carries weight. The fusion is simple but transformative. Control your mind, and you control the conditions that attract wealth. Lose control of your mind, and no fortune, no strategy, and no opportunity can compensate. Consider the majority who awaken without purpose. They rise only to react to emails, messages, news, or the urgencies of others. Each reaction feeds the subconscious with doubt, anxiety, and scattered focus. Hill warned that repeated exposure to fear or indecision programs the subconscious to produce results consistent with limitation rather than abundance. The Stoics warned that surrendering your impressions to external events is surrendering sovereignty, leaving you a slave to circumstance rather than a master of destiny. This is why most fail. Their minds are untrained, scattered, and reactive, even before the day begins. Contrast this with the disciplined few, the ones who think like Stoics and act like millionaires. They understand that the mind is both the architect and the magnet of success. Each morning they dedicate time to clarity, visualization, and reflection. They rehearse emotional composure in the face of obstacles. Hill called this the practice of auto-suggestion. Repeated, emotionally charged thought imprints purpose on the subconscious. The Stoics called it ruling impressions, observing events without surrender, rehearsing reasoned responses, and remaining internally sovereign. Combined, these practices create a mind that is calm, focused, and magnetically aligned with opportunity. Fear is the most common enemy. Most people react to the possibility of failure, rejection, or loss, allowing anxiety to dictate behavior. Hill taught that faith-backed desire transforms fear into fuel, converting hesitation into relentless action. The Stoics taught that attachment to externals produces suffering, while detachment produces freedom. The disciplined mind faces uncertainty with calm, transforming doubt into creative strategy and setbacks into leverage. This internal mastery is invisible to the untrained eye, yet it compounds relentlessly, creating momentum that eventually manifests as wealth, influence, and achievement. Clarity of purpose separates the wealthy from the rest. Hill emphasized the definite major purpose, a single emotionally reinforced vision that organizes thought, emotion, and action. The Stoics emphasized acting according to reason rather than impulse, aligning choices with principle rather than fleeting desire. A clear mind recognizes opportunity, avoids distraction, and consistently executes decisions that compound over time. Without clarity, energy is scattered, fear dominates, and potential slips away. With clarity, thought, emotion, and action are harmonized, producing results that appear effortless but are rooted in invisible internal discipline. The morning becomes the proving ground of this mastery. By rising early, the disciplined mind can rehearse composure, visualize success, and imprint purpose on the subconscious before the world imposes distraction, chaos, or urgency. Each day begins not as a reaction to circumstance, but as a deliberate act of creation. Those who fail ignore this invisible advantage. Those who succeed honor it day after day, allowing their internal discipline to compound and manifest externally. Opportunity, momentum, and wealth follow naturally, not by accident, but by the inevitable consequence of a mind trained to think like a Stoic and act like a millionaire. The question now is stark. Will you allow your mind to be reactive, enslaved by fear and circumstance, or will you rise, deliberate and unshakable, claiming sovereignty over thought, emotion, and action? Your internal mastery determines whether wealth chases you, or you chase fleeting, inconsistent fortune that never satisfies. The moment to decide is now, because the mind mastered early becomes the life, the wealth, and the destiny that others only dream of. The power of the king like a Stoic and earning like a millionaire lies in the invisible mechanics of the mind. Most people believe that wealth requires extraordinary circumstances or genius-level intelligence, yet the truth is far simpler and more profound. The mind determines the life you create. Hill taught that desire, when combined with faith and repeated visualization, programs the subconscious to act automatically in alignment with your goals. The Stoics taught that a mind that rules its impressions, that observes without attachment and acts with reason, is unshakable in adversity. Together, these principles create a psychological framework that transforms thought into action, potential into results, and vision into tangible success. Many fail because they lack preparation. They wake without purpose, allowing external events to dictate their mental state. Hill emphasized that repeated, emotionally charged thoughts impress the subconscious, making it an invisible guide for decision-making. The Stoics emphasized premeditatio malorum, anticipating challenges and rehearsing rational responses so that the mind remains composed regardless of circumstance. The disciplined mind combines these practices. It wakes with clarity, focuses with intensity, and navigates adversity with calm authority. Wealth becomes not a product of luck, but the inevitable consequence of internal alignment. Fear and indecision are the most common saboteurs. Most people react to potential loss, criticism, or failure, allowing anxiety to dominate their choices. Hill warned that fear dominates the subconscious unless faith and desire are powerful enough to override it. The Stoics warned that attachment to externals leads to suffering, while detachment and reason produce freedom. When these principles converge, fear is transformed from a limiting force into a motivator for calculated, deliberate action. Setbacks are no longer threats. They are information, leverage, and opportunity for growth. This is why millionaires remain calm in crisis, while the majority panic, hesitate, and squander opportunity. The disciplined mind begins each day with rehearsal. Visualization of goals, reflection on purpose, and affirmation of competence prime the subconscious for action. Hill called this autosuggestion, the repeated, emotionally reinforced planting of desire into the subconscious. The Stoics called it mastery of impressions, the conscious training of perception to resist chaos, cultivate composure, and maintain focus on principle. When combined, these practices transform early hours into the invisible engine that drives success, creating compounding advantage over time. Each morning of deliberate discipline is another brick in the foundation of wealth, laid before the world even begins to demand your attention. Consistency is the invisible multiplier. One morning of clarity produces insight, repeated mornings produce compounding momentum. Hill emphasized persistent action directed by purpose. The Stoics emphasized enduring difficulty with reason and maintaining inner sovereignty. Together, these disciplines condition the mind to act automatically in alignment with vision, recognizing opportunity, neutralizing fear, and executing with precision. The richest people in history did not stumble into wealth. They created it deliberately, quietly, and consistently in ways invisible to those who ignore the internal laws of success. Most people chase wealth externally, through transactions, networks, or trends, without ever realizing that the internal world must lead. Millionaires understand that wealth begins in thought, is nurtured by discipline, and manifests in action. Clarity, focus, emotional mastery, and aligned desire are the instruments of internal power. External achievement is merely the reflection of this internal order. The difference between those who fail and those who succeed is invisible, subtle, psychological, but it compounds relentlessly until it produces results that are impossible to ignore. The question is not whether wealth can be attained, it is whether you are willing to master your mind, internalize this discipline, and act with relentless consistency. Will you allow your day and your life to be dictated by external chaos, fear, and impulse? Or will you rise deliberate and sovereign, thinking like a Stoic, acting with precision, and earning like a millionaire? The foundation of your future is shaped in the mind long before opportunity appears. The choice is yours, and the time to begin is now. The mind that thinks like a Stoic and earns like a millionaire does not depend on circumstance. It shapes circumstance. While most people allow external events to dictate emotion, decision, and effort, the disciplined mind operates from a position of internal sovereignty. Hill taught that repeated, emotionally charged visualization impresses the subconscious, creating momentum that guides action even when conscious focus wanes. The Stoics taught that judgment, not events themselves, determines suffering or serenity. When fused, these principles produce a mind that perceives opportunity where others see chaos, that remains calm where others panic, and that executes decisive, purpose-driven action while the majority hesitate. Wealth, in this sense, is not chance. It is the inevitable consequence of disciplined internal alignment. Most people fail because they do not respect the invisible power of preparation. They wake and react, chasing distractions, succumbing to fear, or drifting in indecision. Hill emphasized that the subconscious obeys dominant thoughts. Fear, doubt, and distraction reinforce limitation. The Stoics emphasized ruling over impressions. Surrendering to impulse or emotional turbulence is surrendering life itself. Those who succeed recognize that wealth is a reflection of the mind. By commanding the internal world, clarifying purpose, rehearsing composure, and visualizing outcomes, one transforms potential into achievement, thought into tangible results. The morning becomes the laboratory of mastery. Hill taught autosuggestion, repeated mental impressions, reinforced with emotional intensity, program the subconscious to act automatically toward success. The Stoics practiced reflection and premeditation, anticipating challenges, rehearsing rational responses, and maintaining calm in the face of adversity. Together, these practices condition the mind to recognize opportunity, act decisively, and remain unshaken, even in the most turbulent conditions. The richest people of history leveraged this invisible power daily, long before external circumstances demanded their attention, creating compounding advantage that few ever notice. Fear, doubt, and impatience are neutralized through disciplined practice. Hill emphasized that faith-backed desire transforms fear into fuel, guiding the subconscious to act relentlessly toward goals. The Stoics emphasized detachment from outcomes, training the mind to respond to challenges with reason rather than panic. The fusion of these principles allows a person to endure setbacks, navigate uncertainty, and act with precision while others hesitate. The early morning becomes a sanctuary in which fear is transformed into clarity, anxiety into strategy, and doubt into unstoppable momentum. Consistency is critical. One morning of disciplined thought may provide insight, but repeated mornings create compounding influence. Each session reinforces clarity, strengthens emotional composure, and aligns subconscious action with conscious intention. Hill described this as persistent effort guided by desire, while the Stoics described it as habitual training of the mind to maintain reasoned judgment. Together, they produce a life in which opportunity is consistently recognized, mistakes are minimized, and results accumulate silently yet inexorably. The disciplined mind, trained in these invisible laws, acts with precision, recognizes opportunity, and generates wealth not by chance, but by design. Most people never achieve this level of internal alignment because they lack discipline, they neglect preparation, and they surrender mornings to chaos. Those who succeed honor the invisible laws of the mind, impress their vision upon the subconscious, and maintain calm composure, using their early hours to create compounding advantage. The day, and ultimately the life, follows from this internal mastery. The invisible truth is stark: to earn like a millionaire, you must first think like a Stoic. Command your thoughts, master your impressions, and align your mind daily with purpose, clarity, and emotional sovereignty. Wealth follows the mind that has been trained, focused, and prepared. The question is no longer whether this is possible. The question is whether you will act, whether you will embrace this invisible silent advantage, and whether you will allow your mind to shape your life, as the richest people in history have done. Your answer will determine the trajectory of everything you build. Wealth is not born from circumstance, it is born from the mind's ability to act with clarity, composure, and relentless purpose. The majority of people fail because they allow fear, distraction, and impulsive emotion to dictate their choices, as if the external world were more powerful than their own reason. Napoleon Hill taught that repeated, emotionally charged thought impresses the subconscious, creating momentum that drives action even when conscious focus falters. The Stoics taught that surrendering the mind to impressions is surrendering life itself. Only the mind trained to observe, reason, and act deliberately is free. When these philosophies converge, the mind becomes a magnet for opportunity, a furnace for composure, and a precise instrument of wealth creation. Most people awaken each day and drift, reactive to every external signal. Emails, news, social media, urgent demands. They allow the first impressions of the day to program their subconscious with chaos, distraction, and limitation. Hill warned that the subconscious acts according to dominant impressions. Fear, doubt, and indecision create results consistent with scarcity. Why? The Stoics warned that attachment to external events produces suffering. A mind untrained in reflection and reason is enslaved. The result is predictable, wasted effort, missed opportunity, and lives that plateau far below potential. The disciplined, wealthy mind, by contrast, seizes the morning as a tool of internal alignment, imprinting purpose and clarity on the subconscious before the world imposes its chaos. The richest people in history understood that the morning is a laboratory for the mind. They cultivated clarity, focus, and emotional composure in these early hours. Hill called this autosuggestion, impressing vivid, emotionally charged goals on the subconscious until action aligns automatically. The Stoics called it mastery of impressions, training the mind to remain sovereign, to observe without attachment, and to act with reason. The early hours, free from external noise, become a sanctuary where desire, vision, and discipline coalesce into invisible momentum. Opportunity is recognized, fear is neutralized, and every decision is guided by purpose rather than impulse. Fear and indecision are the greatest obstacles to wealth. Hill emphasized that desire backed by faith transforms fear into creative energy, directing the subconscious toward action. The Stoics emphasized detachment from externals and mastery over impressions, allowing calm to prevail where others panic. Together, These principles teach that setbacks are not failures, they are data, leverage, and signals. Uncertainty is not paralysis, it is opportunity. The mind trained in this way acts decisively, persistently, and with precision, while the majority hesitates, reacts, and falters. Consistency company compounds this advantage. One disciplined morning produces insight, but repeated mornings embed clarity, composure, and focus into the subconscious, creating momentum that grows silently, invisibly, yet relentlessly. Hill called this persistence guided by desire. The Stoics called it habitual training of reason and emotional composure. Both describe the same invisible mechanism. Repeated, intentional preparation produces results that are inevitable. The wealthiest individuals understood this principle and applied it daily, long before the world demanded action, quietly building an unassailable advantage over those who ignored the invisible laws of the mind. The morning is the invisible accelerator of wealth, the crucible where fear is tempered into courage, distraction is transformed into focus, and desire is shaped into disciplined action. Those who fail ignore this truth. Those who succeed honor it. To earn like a millionaire, you must first think like a Stoic, master your mind, command your impressions, and align thought, emotion, and action daily with unwavering purpose. This is the foundation of compounding success, the invisible force that determines whether opportunity favors you and whether your life reflects mastery or mediocrity. The question is stark. Will you rise and claim this invisible advantage, training your mind daily to think clearly, act decisively, and endure adversity with calm composure? Or will you surrender your mornings, your mind, and your destiny to the chaos that enslaves the majority? Every moment spent mastering the internal world compounds externally. The path of the wealthy begins here, in the mind, long before the first transaction, the first investment, or the first opportunity presents itself. The choice is yours, and the moment to act is now. Now is the moment where all understanding, all reflection, and all preparation must converge into deliberate action. The mind that thinks like a Stoic and earns like a millionaire does not wait for fortune to arrive. It commands its destiny before the world demands attention. Napoleon Hill taught that repeated, emotionally charged thought impresses the subconscious, guiding action automatically toward success. The Stoics taught that sovereignty over impressions grants freedom from chaos, fear, and distraction. Together, these truths reveal an invisible law. Wealth is the inevitable consequence of a disciplined, deliberate, and sovereign mind. Those who understand it act. Those who fail never claim it. Most people will rise and surrender their mornings to distraction, worry, and external demands. They allow fear, indecision, and circumstance to dictate their first impressions, programming the subconscious with limitation. The result is predictable, reactive lives, missed opportunities, and potential unfulfilled. Hill warned that the subconscious obeys the dominant impressions impressed upon it. Fear and chaos beget failure. The Stoics warned that surrendering the mind to impressions is surrendering life itself. To earn like a millionaire, one must first think like a Stoic, calm, reasoned, and sovereign, commanding internal energy before external events demand reaction. The morning is your invisible advantage, your secret laboratory for success. Hill called it autosuggestion, repeating emotionally charged thoughts to impress the subconscious and generate unstoppable momentum. The Stoics called it mastery of impressions, observing, rehearsing, and responding with reason rather than panic. Together, they form a practice that transforms thought into action, desire into execution, and vision into wealth. Each day becomes a compounding opportunity, each morning a reinforcement of clarity, focus, and emotional composure. The richest minds in history leveraged this hour consistently, long before the world imposed urgency, building internal advantage invisible to those who ignore it. Fear, doubt, and distraction are neutralized in the disciplined morning. Hill emphasized that faith-backed desire converts fear into creative energy, while the Stoics emphasized detachment from externals and mastery over impressions. By rising early to rehearse composure, visualize success, and anchor purpose, setbacks become data, uncertainty becomes strategy, and hesitation becomes decisive action. Momentum compounds silently yet relentlessly. The mind trained in this way perceives opportunity before others see it, acts before others hesitate, and persists when others falter. Wealth, influence, and achievement are no longer chance, they are inevitable. Consistency amplifies this invisible power. One morning of disciplined thought produces insight, repeated mornings embed clarity, emotional control, and focus into the subconscious, creating compounding advantage. Hill described persistent, purpose-driven effort. The Stoics described habitual cultivation of reason and decomposure. Both describe the same law. Repeated, deliberate internal mastery produces results that are inescapable. The wealthiest individuals of history acted upon this law daily, quietly building advantage long before the world recognized their success. The invisible truth is now yours. To earn like a millionaire, you must first think like a Stoic. Master your mind, command your impressions, and align thought, emotion, and action with unwavering purpose every day. Protect your mornings as sacred time. Rehearse clarity and composure. Visualize outcomes and impress your subconscious with certainty. Most will never understand this. Most will never rise early enough, focus intensely enough, or persist consistently enough. Those who do, however, create unstoppable momentum and inevitable success. Step forward now, begin tomorrow, and every morning thereafter, with sovereignty over your mind. Think with calm authority, act with precise purpose. Let your desire, faith, and preparation guide your subconscious into relentless action. The morning is your invisible advantage, the crucible of wealth, and the foundation of destiny. Claim it, embrace it, and let it shape your life. Your wealth, your freedom, and your legacy depend upon it. The time to act is now. The choice is yours, and the path to mastery begins this very morning.